Thank you very much for having me.
Don't thank me.
You have the right to remain silent.
Is it finished?
Yeah, your character expired.
Because it's in a TV.
Do you have a single fact to back that up?
You know, this is the one where
Think you're funny?
you understand me?
I think you need to go get a dictionary.
What? What's up?
What?
Yeah.
Is that like something the kids did in the 2000s?
Yeah.
Aaron Carter.
Okay. Aaron Carter.
You remember him and his frosted tips?
I do vaguely.
Do you think he just is sitting around right now thinking to himself, God, I remember the days when I was Aaron Carter. Now I'm just Aaron Carter.
Well, I would assume that he's
I'm the only
regretting a
person.
lot. That's all I'm saying.
I'm the only person that I've heard mutter his name, I think, in 20 years.
20 years?
That I've heard coming off my lips just now.
Well,
When you were like, what? For some reason, it just made me think of like Malibu's Most Wanted,
right.
which made me think of Aaron Carter for some reason. I guess because they both were going for the frosted tips, and it was the early 2000s.
Yeah. That was the
like the time of.
That was the frosted. That's
Yeah.
the frosted tip.
It's
time.
like a frosted tip white boy was trying to like fit in with the gangsters,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and that was his way of like trying to introduce it
Fitting in.
to the culture.
Right.
I'm going to show up with my frosted tips and my double tech or my Akimbo Tech 9s.
My Kimbo Tech 9s. God.
I actually never saw that movie.
Well,
I just saw in clips of it. But Jamie Kennedy, he's an interesting one. I like his podcast. He's fun to listen to.
yeah.
He had like, I don't know, like his 15 minutes in Hollywood, like where, I don't know, for a minute there, kind of thought he was going to be like a real, I don't know if you'd call him A-lister, but that he was going to be showing up and
close, I think.
yeah, that he was just going to be like your go-to leading guy for like a lot of American Pie type comedies or whatever raunchiness. Maybe take on some more dramatic stuff at some point, but I don't know. Never really came of it, and that all happened with that Son of the Mask movie,
Right.
which
Can you change that to 1600? Please. Thank you. Behind the scenes, we're doing it live. Do it live.
like you like The Mask, right?
Yeah.
Who
it was a
doesn't
great
like The
movie.
Mask?
Yeah, of course.
You never saw Son of the Mask though,
Um,
because I don't think many people did, and the ones that did wish they hadn't. It's just like I knew right away that this
well, I want to say
it looks
that-
so dumb right out the gate, just like that Ace Ventura that they tried to do with some fat little kid. Remember that? It was like some 10-year-old.
Yep. Yeah, I vaguely remember.
You just know some things. It's like when you have a spoonful of shit, you're sometimes and you're just looking at it and sniffing it. You're just like, this doesn't belong in my mouth, so I'm not going to put it there.
Right.
That's what it was with a couple of those movies.
Sounds pretty brutal.
So, well, yeah, I guess this is a good segue to get me into what's been
Oh, Lord
crushing
have
my
mercy.
my chest. I've been meaning to talk about this on this podcast for a while, but we haven't done this podcast for a while.
So, an explanation for that is what?
Not a good one.
Well, no, we've just gotten very, very busy, very, very quick.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the movie,
Oh,
the explanation for
I just
why it turned out the way it is. We're gonna
no,
we're gonna
I
be
mean, why
talking
we
about
haven't-
Mortal Kombat here, the
right.
newest.
I mean, why we haven't been
Installment.
on the podcasting
Yeah,
for
super busy.
who knows how long.
Yeah,
Um,
we're too busy being entrepreneurial.
yeah, but we're gonna attempt to do this semi-regularly at least.
Yeah.
At least without the giant skips like we have.
Yeah, the plan is to work super, super hard now so that later in life we can have more free time to do podcasts like this.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
So
So
anyway,
the last movie that we watched in our movie review state.
our movie review saga.
Now, we did watch this separately because when this came out, it was kind of like the beginning of getting busy. So we didn't watch it together like we have the other movies, but this is our raw and unfiltered take on
Mortal Kombat.
No, you can it's not that cool. You can't give it that.
They didn't even use that theme
No.
in the movie.
No, so you can't use that. So you're just going to say it's
I
the Mortal
thought
Kombat, the movie.
I thought it was going to be epic like that. You have an opportunity to use one of the catchiest, just fucking disco beats, whatever. It's one of the catchiest tunes of all time, arguably the catchiest.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't use it.
Game-wise, at least. I don't,
Well, they introduced it, I think, for the movie.
Right.
And then it went super, whatever they call it, platinum.
Yeah.
Went viral.
Oh, really? It did?
Yeah, when the first Mortal Kombat came out, the movie in 95, yeah, that song was a big deal. And if you try watching Mortal Kombat without that, the first one,
yeah,
if you try watching that movie without the opening titles that has that song in it, you just start the movie at the first scene, you're just not gonna have as good of a time going through. You need that theme at the start and it's like one of the best openings ever. Like even as a kid, I'd see the New Line Cinema logo start to appear and boom, that Mortal Kombat theme would hit. And God, I must have seen that so many times. And every time I saw a movie after Mortal Kombat that had the New Line Cinema logo coming in,
right,
I'd be like, God damn it, I wish I was watching Mortal Kombat so that song would kick in right now. And yeah, it was just a special thing. But anyway, so in the trailer for the Mortal Kombat reboot movie, the 2021 version, I
couldn't even told you it was filmed or released in 2021.
The way time moves,
that's how
you could have told me it came out in 2022 and I'd have been like, oh yeah, what? Oh, okay. So in the trailer, they played the theme. There was like towards the end when they showed the dragon, there was some dun 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 dun, dun. And I was like, oh cool, like they're gonna have it in the movie.
Promise of it there.
That's basically what that was saying. Was it showed its presence, and it's like, okay, because a trailer is a trailer of things to come, and I would think the score, which that score was made specifically and exclusively for that movie, this reintroduction of MK in movie form. So it's a trailer for the movie. It's also a trailer for the score, right? You give us like this hint of the score, but then it's completely absent from the movie. Instead of getting the Mortal Kombat theme or anything even remotely resembling Mortal Kombat music, even anything remotely resembling anything that's inspired by anything is absent from this movie. Not just in the music, but of everything, of the final product, the way it turned out. Yes, I get departments worked really hard, and I get like the choreographers, like I could tell they did a kick-ass job. The editing would suggest otherwise, with fucking making a cut every second and a half. But we'll get into all of that. Anyway, I think I've pretty much already said the thing about the theme, but they just
like the whole
what
movie.
A fail to deliver. What a travesty this movie turned out to be, because the trailer really hyped me up. I was like excited.
Promise,
yeah,
for sure.
Like I was saying last time, I was like, the characters, I recognize them from the game. I don't have to like try to figure out who's who. It's very obvious who's who, although we get to that Cole Young motherfucker and I'm like, wait, who is that guy? And that's one of the biggest issues with this movie is Cole Young. Again, I'm not dissing the actors or anything by that. I'm dissing the writing and the way everything just was ended up being in the final product was crap.
Is there any scenario where a new character like a Cole Young, like you're okay with? Like I'm okay with Cole Young in this box, so to say. And what is that box?
The box would have to be one that I'm interested in and care about. Like Cole Young, when I first saw him, well, once I knew that there was this new character they were bringing into it, I thought to myself, man, I wish every single character occupying screen time in this thing was a established Mortal Kombat character.
Right.
Because in the previous MK movie in 95, there was some dude, you're not going to know who I mean offhand, but he was this black guy named Art Lean who got his face smashed in by Goro in the tournament.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I know who you're talking about.
He was not a MK character. He was just some dude they made up. But you know who would have fit perfectly into that guy's position in that movie was Jax. Sarah's partner Jax, who is in the very beginning of the movie, but then he's just not in it after the first 5 or 10 minutes. He's just there with Sonya when Sonya gets on the boat, which is leaving for the tournament. And Jax is just like, Hey, Sonya, where are you going? And that's it for Jax. I think he had one shot in the movie. He like looked through some binoculars with Sonya's like, that's our guy. And she's like, stay here, hold the binoculars. I'm getting on that boat. And then he's like, Sonya, don't get on the boat. No. And she's on the boat. Why didn't he get on the boat too?
Right.
So instead, we get some fucking guy named Art Lean. What kind of a name is this anyway? But my point, and actually, I kind of liked Art in that movie. Like, he ended up being fine. It was just, I'm just using that to illustrate the point for this movie. It's like, okay, you're going to introduce a new character, do something interesting with him. What a wooden bag of nothing. This movie was nothing but people jabbering on about exposition that we've all heard a million times.
Right.
It would be like if I came in here with a book and was like, you want me to read you a story? And you could say yes or no. Let's say you say yes. And I'm just like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I just fucking go through that and do that over and over and over again. That's how interesting this movie was. It was that one-dimensional, that one note. Throw this thing together. Everyone meet up at the studio. Get there when you can get there. We'll shoot this thing. If you can't make it, we'll just have someone off to the side stand in. We'll dress you up in their costume. We'll call it a day. Let's just get this thing into post. Slap it together. How should we edit it? Just close your eyes and put it together, and then we'll make cuts every half second. But it was shot really well. We can get it done faster if we just don't care.
Right.
And what about the music? Oh, fuck the music. What about that theme we're going to use? Let's try to be different. Let's do something different. Does anyone still have the Action Essentials pack? Anybody? Oh, yeah, I have it, Bob. Oh, bring that over here, Sam. Okay, put that in. I think they give you a free orchestra kit in here. Oh, yeah. Here we have Intense Music number 14. Play it. Sounds good. Put it in the movie. That doesn't match this scene at all. I don't care. Put it in the movie. What's track 15? Put it in the movie. And it's like the first fucking thing they tried with everything. Right. They just shoved it in. They just sped through everything as fast as possible. The entire movie looked like it was fake. The whole goddamn thing just looked like it was some glossy shit that they just dragged out of the aquarium section at Walmart to just put some fucking rocks with moss on them in the background and have them glisten. And that's supposed to be a Japanese forest. And
I don't know. I think one of the best parts of the whole movie was the opening. I don't think that was that bad. I could hop on board with it for the most part, but as soon as it was just like, okay, now we're back to present day, it just went from okay to ugh.
The introduction to the movie was nothing special.
No, I said it was okay. I thought that was okay.
No, well, thankfully for us, we agree because nothing special and okay meet right there on the same wavelength.
Okay.
So you have a guy in the woods. he rubs his wife's head and his child hugs his leg and says, I'm going to go catch some fish down by the river. And he's like, okay, son, good luck. Don't get a fish hook in your eye. And I love you. And I love you too, wife. Later this evening, I'll meet you and we'll make love and we'll eat rice and we'll talk about whatever we're going to talk about. And, oh, that's demonstrating he loves his family. Oh, I think something bad's about to happen. And here comes Sub-Zero. Okay. Let me do a detour. I will mention a couple things that I liked in the opening scene. I liked when that one henchie got the scorpion spear through his head.
Okay.
And then pulled his face right into the ground.
Okay.
And I liked when he found his wife frozen to death.
Of course you would.
Because it was... I was like... At least I was like paying attention at that point. Like, oh my God, this is a big deal. This guy's wife just died in his face and she's all frozen and dead. And, ooh, that weighs heavy on the heart.
So that's what you got you.
I mean, it didn't weigh heavy on my heart that much because it was just okay, like you said, the opening scene.
Is there anything good about
okay.
the movie that you could say right now from memory, like, okay, yes, this I bought into, or this was okay?
I remember the Kano guy made me chuckle a couple of times.
That's it.
And, you know, whenever some blood splashed out of somebody, I'm sure I thought it was cool. At least looked cool. Yep, that's about all I got. Everything else.
I can add almost nothing to this because I am not as invested into the Mortal Kombat universe as you are. You are way deep compared to me. And just from a movie standpoint, this wasn't anything exciting. I mean, some of the stuff was like, okay, yeah, cool. You know, blood, sword, frozen ice, or was that was in the movie, right? Or was that just a trailer?
Ice.
The blood, like frozen blood.
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff, like, okay, clever. That was brutal. You know, that was cool, but those are just like cherry on tops of what should be a good movie. And those are like those, you know, those like killer moments, you know, I don't like, what was it? The Last Jedi. Everybody hated that movie, but there was still, even I watched it back a second time recently and I was like, you know what? Whatever, you know, you can live with it. It's such a far fetch from the other movies. It doesn't make sense at all. But there was a couple moments that were just like, oh, it was worth it for that. And one of them being like, you know, Luke's getting fired upon by these giant machines, and then it turns out that he's using a Force ghost.
Yeah.
And then he's like hovering above a rock, and I'm like, oh, that's really what Luke was. That was Luke. You know, Luke was just as, if not more powerful than his father, you know, Darth Vader, the craziest Sith and baddie in the galaxy. But like those moments were like, that was complete, like the whole movie I don't care about, but like those specific things made it worth it.
Yeah.
So for this Mortal Kombat movie, there wasn't anything like that, at least for me, because it wasn't anything like, oh, that was like that groundbreaking thing or groundbreaking moment that saved everything, or at least was just like, okay, I can live with a movie for this or that.
Yeah.
This didn't have that for me. It was just kind of like, to me, it was like, I guess the best way to put it is it was almost like they were checking the boxes of things to do, where it was like, hey guys, you know what we need to do? We need to get a couple levels in there. Obviously we need fighting in those levels. So let's come up with some like story to back that up. Then it's just like, okay, well, we got Cole Young. He can walk around and he can find Who did he find in the junkyard? And then they fought there. It was it Blade? Sonya
Sonya Blade.
Jax? Am I thinking of wrong people?
Was it the white blonde woman
Sure.
and the black bald guy
Sure.
with the? He didn't have the metal arms by that point. I don't
No,
think.
he did not. That's who they are. Right?
Yeah, and then they could just explain everything.
Right. And they
Cole Young
explain
for the next
anything,
20
everything,
minutes.
and then at some point they fight, in the junkyard level, and then he gets taken through the desert, where he also fights in the desert level, and
Yeah.
it was just like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
trying to be
don't.
some kind of epic adventure across all of these
and
epic
then,
lands.
Then what was it? It was
stupid
like
way.
he was who he was Scorpion's
Who
like
fucking cares?
daughter's great uncle's nephew,
Yeah.
twice removed.
Why the
And some
fuck?
of his blood lives on.
This pisses me off that ever since Star Wars, of Luke, I am your father. Now that's become the trope that every movie goes to have that big woo revelation moment that we're all supposed to have our jaws on the floor over.
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is, though.
Did you know that Cole Young is Scorpion's second cousin? Who fucking cares? The movie was boring as shit.
Right.
Cole Young was boring as shit. He was only there so people could explain stuff to him.
Right.
I know how to get through 20 pages of
Right.
a script. Let's just have Sonya and Jax explain everything that the Mortal Kombat tournament is to Cole Young while he just sits there and takes it all in.
Well, okay, think about it this way. From a standpoint of like the Mortal Kombat universe, which I think is pretty rich, it's pretty interesting, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not as deep as you are, but like, what is the easiest way to write a movie? Throw a character in there that has nothing to do with the actual franchise, at least as of yet, and then the whole movie is just explaining what the movie is.
That is
and then
all
it's
that
like
fucking happened.
Okay, so what we got is exactly what Sony did with Spider-Man. They couldn't move on past like the first two versions of Spider-Man because they got a new actor. So every single time they did it, up until the last, like the Spider-Man we have now, which was a very glancing version of the story, which I appreciated violently because I don't need another whole movie about the same thing from a different director or writer. Like, it's insane.
Like we've seen Uncle Ben get capped enough times and him cry.
So like a glancing like memory, or I can't even remember what was in the Spider-Man movie this time, but it was just like, oh, that was so well handled because we already know what happened. Yeah. Trust me. If you've never read a comic, you know what happens. Yeah. Like there's no chance you don't know. And then with the Mortal Kombat, it's like, okay, cool. Mortal Kombat's like, from a super, super outsider, Mortal Kombat is about a game where people fight. Okay, cool. Let's do a whole movie on explaining that.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need that whole movie. You have a big enough fan base to say, okay, let's like push an agenda or a story. Or like, to me, it was as simple as, okay, you had two strong characters. You could have told a brief backstory of like Sonya Blade and Jax and then had them fight in the tournament. Like that, I think would have been at least an acceptable or like passable movie. Like just take two of the characters that you already know and then just get them to the tournament where they fight.
Yeah.
And then that would be cool.
Yeah,
like
basically do anything other than what they did.
What is like the bad guy, the Outworld?
Shang Tsung.
So
you
like
mean Shao Kahn?
Yeah, isn't it the Outworld? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
So like
Bad Guy Land.
Right. So like build that up enough because there was such. This is just like one of those movies that bugs the living daylights out of me because there are so many opportunities to tell like a rich backstory for things. And instead they just like hang on this like frilly feathered edge of like what can be acceptable by a bigger audience or whatever. And then that's as far as you get. So like you could have taken a deep dive into like the outworld, and then this is why so and so is fighting, because this is like the the torture and horrors, the hortures. That's my new word. Copyright. Trademark. Hortures.
Well done.
Alchemy Point Podcast. Hortures. But like, you could have dived down in there and just said, okay, let's actually like build a concern for the audience for these people to like win. Make that like actual instinctual, like human connection. Like there's a reason why parents cringe when like in a movie a child dies, or like, your mom, a mother gets stabbed. That you have this like natural reaction because you can relate so fine-tunedly to that.
Yeah. And
then this is like, there's just nothing. It's just like, it was basically like, this is going to sound awful, but like just coming up, talking about Spider-Man, this was just a really shitty version of Spider-Man. Somebody found a guy who apparently has some type of like gift or bloodline, and he has to learn to use his powers. And then it was just barf.
The fucking, you got a special tattoo. That means you're chosen.
Right.
Oh, I can relate to that so much because I have a tattoo on my elbow.
Right.
Or I have a birthmark on my ass. That means I'm special. How can anyone relate to that? Because if you do have a birthmark, it doesn't mean anything other than it's a birthmark.
Yep.
Which is a birth defect. Not that it's like an ailment,
mark.
But it's just a mark.
Defect. We're not model number 3741.
Well, like if a car comes off the assembly line and there's like a splotch on it, that would be a defect in the car.
Sure. Like
the defect.
I'm just picking on your choice of words.
Whatever. People think like defect. What do you mean? Like retarded? No. Like this, like the body and its production of a body likely doesn't intend to put marks on people.
Sure.
But so people are produced.
Sure.
Out of the vajayjay. And sometimes there's a mark on them. Sure, call it whatever you want. It's a fucking birthmark. Point being, a birthmark does not signify anything about you being special.
Welcome to the rabbit hole.
And even if it did, how the hell is anyone in the world who doesn't have a birthmark supposed to relate to somebody that's saying like, oh, having birthmarks means you're special and it means you're chosen for a tournament?
Right.
Isn't it just kind of better where like somebody that by their own willingness and what they put in and by their own what's the fucking word I'm trying to think of?
Will? I'm not sure.
Whatever. But based on the merits of what they do for themselves is what gets them to be in these chances for opportunity. Called. So here's what you're saying. Here's what's cool about the Mortal Kombat from 1995. Liu Kang is in that tournament not because Earth thinks he can win.
Right.
It's because literally everyone else on Earth sucks at fighting more than him.
Right.
Now he can still throw down and he'd probably kick a lot of ass, but now he's fighting something entirely different.
Right.
So Liu Kang didn't have a fucking birthmark that got like, hey, it's time to fight that tournament to keep Earth from being invaded. Where's the guy with the birthmark?
Yeah. It's no different than the movies that are like, hey, come join our group.
Yeah.
Because we all have the same mole on our left hand.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's stupid.
Wait, what?
Sonya, she like is this like tough fucking badass that's always like hot-headed and it would probably lose a fight because she's too like emotional, heavy-handed, pissed off, take a swing and out of frustration, and the person would easily duck and just uppercut her spine out of her neck. And then you have Johnny Cage, who joins because he's a martial arts actor, but he's having a lot of trouble in his career and his life because everyone calls him a fake and a phony. He doesn't do his own stunts. So he joins the tournament because he has something to prove. Yeah, like, I'm not a fake. I'm not a phony. Those are relatable things. All three of those, as well explained as I put them.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I believe you.
All three of those as something that can be related to.
Yeah.
But then here comes fucking Mortal Kombat reboot. Oh, we're not going to give you we'll give you a shitty Liu Kang and a shitty Sonya and no Johnny Cage. So, and what we got for you is Cole Young. Who's Cole Young? Nobody. And he doesn't do anything or say anything. He just gets talked to.
Right.
Why is he in the tournament? Because he has a birthmark. Oh, so he's going to get explained to him about why he has a birthmark, what the birthmark means he needs to do,
right,
and what will happen once he does what he needs to do and what that means for everybody, and explain. Yep. Now it's time for a fight. Great. Let's set up 15 cameras and we'll just have them dolly back and forth, left, right, nice and smooth. None of the way like fight scenes are like handheld, which I personally like that look a lot. Like keeping a wide.
The best fight scenes is what I would call a long form handheld.
Yes,
which is
I like those
exactly
like the Raid.
John Wick, the Raid.
I don't like the frame being completely still.
Something of Men. Where was that really long one shot?
Children of Men.
Children of Men, or it was a fake long one shot, but
yeah,
but still, it's like
I like being able to see what's going on because that's why I'm watching the movie,
anything.
so I can watch the movie, not watch cameras shaking everywhere.
Right.
Like, but I still want to feel like this organic kind of feeling that complements like the action and the chaos while still being able to see it.
Right.
If it's just like stationary and framed, it's like that works for different things, but for like generally speaking for action and chaos, I don't feel it as much.
So two people that agree with us on this violently are Sam and Nico and the whole Corridor crew, but they went over this one time in a YouTube video, and it was basically just like the information that you're given in like 90% of like Hollywood movies you just can't connect with, because you're literally seeing like, two guys and it's like kick, but like you're seeing like an upper thigh and like a foot, but you don't really know what's happening at all.
Yeah.
And that's all you're saying. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And it's like upper thigh, foot, block here. And all they have to do is, like you said, give me a wide, handheld wide, and just like long form it. And then when you go into editing, use a couple different angles that make sense for everything. Because one thing that bugs me, and they mentioned very specifically the Matrix scene where Neo and Morpheus is first testing Neo, and they're in that dojo. And you can literally follow every single move. Like even when they go close, it's still very like intentional, specific to understanding like the quick, like it's never shots that you can't like gain perspective of where you're at.
They honed in on like the key moves or the key moments, and like that was a way to like move it and choreograph it and keep the flow going along, and like honing in on those like hard hits, and like they're like testing each other, or he's testing him, and so you need to see like the like his the Matrix guy, what the fuck is his name, Neo,
Morpheus.
Him being like broken down by the moves and his face and his reaction, and Morpheus breaking him down, and there needs to be like a story within the context 100%. Of the fight.
That's what Nico says all the time. He says, you're telling us a small story in the fight that lends itself basically to the overall story.
Yeah.
And you need a start, you need a reason for the fight, and you need a reason to end the fight, and you need reasons to continue fight the whole way through. And it's like, I forget what I was going to say earlier, but it's disappointing to me when you have a fight scene. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Because as like a viewer to a movie, one thing I think that like, you know, a big, and it's one of those things like, who am I to say this, but I don't really care. Hollywood has forgotten that, like, especially in like fight scenes, the audience is like a bystander in the scene. Mm-hmm. So pretend like the camera is someone's eyes. Now, there are very specific times where I think like shaky cam, like real quick cuts work ish, like, but it's very specific, but it's not whole fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like you can do some real quick, like in your face type shots, as long as one, you have perspective of like where you're at. Like some of these scenes are like kicks and punches, and you're cutting back and forth between that. Like you have no, like if you could push pause on that movie in a 3D world, you would never be able to say, the camera's here.
Yeah.
And it, to me, it lends to a disconnect of like fighting.
Yeah.
One example I can give you recently, we're like watching through all the Marvel movies with Ezekiel. So I've noticed they do a lot of that, like quick cutting in some things. And then in the really important fights, they'll draw it out ish. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed there have been like really specific times where, it's no one particular character, but they kind of let a move play out. And almost always I'm like, yes. Yeah. Like out loud, I'm like, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
One specifically, last night we were watching Civil War, Captain America Civil War, or whatever it was. And Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, in like one of the first opening fights, she goes up and like jumps on this guy and uses him as leverage to like swing her feet beside him and like fully like just kicks this guy, and the guy goes flying. And then she does like a somersault thing and like throws that guy to the ground. But it was all in camera. You could see everything. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yes. Like that was so cool.
It feels so good when you see it.
Yeah, because everything, like everything clicks, like you understand the physics. Like that's one thing I don't know if a lot of people understand about like really good martial arts like films, like IP Man. Those movies are freaking amazing. A lot of people say It Man. I've heard Clinton Jones say that before, but and it bugs me. But like those, like everything is it like. Obviously they're going back and they go back and forth, but you like understand everything.
Yeah.
And there's like this weird thing that this is what I was going to say, that I don't think some directors it's directors, because the stunt guys would love to do long form stuff and show, have all their work shown. But like unconsciously you have like this understanding of how things work. And when you're not seeing that in a fight, it just becomes like I don't really understand anything. Yeah, sure, it was cool. It was a fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like when it's like really like I said, I don't know if that would be the correct word, but it's the easiest word for me to like that long form, like just long single shots that you can kind of cut up with other angles and stuff. Yeah. But it just creates this thing where it's like, you almost believe that you could do it just because it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to sum it up, that's not what Mortal Kombat did.
No, not at all. It's like, well, they were shooting for this, like not storyboarded, but let's just cover a bunch of angles and in editing, we'll slap it together however it comes together. And there's a mega difference between that and IP Man. How IP Man does a fight, how The Matrix does a fight, how The Raid or a Jackie Chan movie does the fight.
Jackie Chan, you see everything with Jackie Chan.
Like and it's always so fucking entertaining, using the environment and objects. I mean,
you literally see
the weirdest, randomest objects, and it never becomes boring, and it's always interesting. There's always just like he's having to get out of these situations where there's like 15 guys on his ass and there's like one way to escape. It's like getting up on the rafters somehow. Right. So if he fucking has to stand a mop straight up on its end and jump off the end of it, like,
and you're literally watching Jackie Chan break bones in the movie by doing some of this stuff, and you get to witness it happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the biggest difference.
And if you put that kind of creativity and coupled it with these magical, mystical, fucking awesome characters that you don't get to see all the time in a movie. These aren't just your everyday average fisticuffs guys. These are characters with special powers, abilities. It's like, what would happen if you gave all of these people these crazy abilities?
You know what I just realized?
What?
I really don't want to cut you off. I want to say this before I forget it. You know how we have this talk about CG all the time?
Yeah.
That is literally why shaky cam and like short form action has become such a thing.
Yeah.
Because you can't do long form and show every piece of the set for long periods of time, or characters that are now fighting CG characters long form, because you won't buy into it.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
And see right there, that's compromising on the vision, and then therefore the end result of what you're getting is something that is compromised for profit.
Right.
And you're stuck sitting there watching it, and you paid for it.
Right.
Just to watch.
This is why
this fucking cookie cutter bullshit
we like to call guerrilla filmmaking is the best.
And to take something as awesome as Mortal Kombat and just take a steaming shit all over it, like this, we've been waiting 25 years for this thing, and just all this talk about there's a Mortal Kombat project in the works, it's coming out soon. There was that Mortal Kombat Rebirth, remember that, like 5-10 minute
that like weird small short film thing,
where there was like Reptile and Baraka and stuff, and Jax was interviewing people,
and it was like this weird hope
that the tone of that was like spot on. I gave a shit about what was being said, and the exposition that they did give was kept brief, but it was really potent and interesting. Like the Reptile saying like, this guy has a birth defect, there it is again. This guy has a birth defect where his skin forms inside out and produces scales and stuff, doesn't produce enough cells. Life expectancy is 2 weeks, but this guy's 30. That's all I need to know. That's super fucking interesting. Shows him like eating a severed head in his apartment. And now they're showing me. They're not telling me and explaining to me. They are showing me, because that's what we're supposed to do. Take this in visually.
See, this is where... I heard somebody say it. I'm not going to remember who said this, but I heard it was a director. Oh, it was Quentin Tarantino, wasn't on Joe Rogan, saying something about how like movies back in the day, like you didn't have like screenings where like an audience could give you feedback. So like when a movie opened up, you just had to like hope and pray.
Yeah.
And I feel like the industry now does this weird thing where it's like, oh, you have a good vision, but like this, people that screen this with kids aren't going to like it. And, if they do, you're not going to get as much money. So we need you to tone this back. And then that's how like something like that because I completely forgot about that, but that's how that like awesome short film of like what could have been gets hijacked, because it's like, all of a sudden it's like, okay, we can't do that, but we'll give you X amount of millions of dollars to do it this way. And then, like if we were getting X amount of millions of dollars, I think we're lying a little bit to ourselves, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just sucks.
From the standpoint as an audience member, I'm just talking about like what I think of this movie.
Jesus.
That looked like it hurt a little bit.
Gosh, it scared me.
I'm just speaking from the standpoint as an audience member making an observation of a product that was put out in a compromised fashion.
Right. Yes.
Because what I'm watching is something that was derived from producers that walked around and told all the creative people, hey guys, we know you want to put a lot more time into this and a lot more effort and a lot more money. But what we're going to give you is 80 million because we just want to have a good opening weekend. We just want to double our profits and call it a day. But what if people don't like the movie? We don't care if they don't like the movie.
Right.
It doesn't. We just have to get them to watch it. We just have
Right.
to get them to click download, buy now, buy their ticket, go see it. If it sucks, they're still gonna fucking want another one because it's mindless, dumb bullshit, and it's stupid enough.
Well, that was
to earn itself.
Do you remember? I'm gonna just look this up real quick, but you remember me telling you that
they're gonna get it? People are like, don't say it's bad. They won't make another one.
Right.
I don't want them to I want the message to be that we're not gonna stand for this.
We're not
fucking
gonna take it.
This fucking lazy schlock bullshit. Like people should like if the movie's bad, then don't buy it on Blu-ray, don't download it, don't buy for life. Put the word out there that it's shit. And so people that might have watched it then won't watch it. And you know what? People are like, oh, well, you should see to think for yourself. We only have so much time on this fucking planet. And if you can watch reviewers that you regularly like, they'll say a movie's good. You'll go and you'll check it out. You'll think it's good too. They'll say a movie's amazing. You might think it's amazing too.
It has a slightly higher rating than
they'll say
movie.
Something is bad, and you are like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna try it anyway." And it's bad. You find you agree with these critics, and a lot of the time. So if you find like 5 or 6 of them, and all 5 or 6 of them are saying the movie is shit, save your time and don't go see the shit.
Right.
So I'm not gonna say the new Mortal Kombat movie is good or worth seeing because it's fucking not. Like I said, I was aching for this movie for 25 years.
Oh yeah.
And when it finally came out and I'm finally watching it, I fucking am pulling out my phone and checking Facebook. That's how bored I was.
Right.
Which
is pretty sad.
Because once Jax and Sonya get 10 minutes into explaining to Cole fucking Young what the Mortal Kombat tournament is, I already know like the rest of the scene's just going to be drabbling on about the same bullshit. So I might as well just pick up my phone and watch the entire country argue with each other over Facebook. At least that's more interesting, than Mortal Kombat. Like, you know what does do a great job?
Budget. Where is that on IMDb?
It should be, yeah. Popularity 74. Oh, out of a, what does that mean? Not sure
I guess 74.
How to quantify that number. See, like
slow.
The characters look right.
Right.
For audio listeners only, we're just like looking at a screen grab of Liu Kang and Kung Lao. The characters look great
here.
So great job, art department or costume design.
Right. So if we go down here, where was this at? Okay. So for video viewers, you can see the screen now.
There it is, box office.
So box office, US, Canada, 42. And then gross worldwide was 83 million.
What was the budget?
I don't know. I don't know where that's at. So overall, it's 83 million.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, part of that money is mine.
True.
But it was just such a fucking letdown, such a disappointment. And in order to have like a good movie or a great movie, you need.
I just saw what the budget was, but
everything coming together. You need everything coming together. In this case, if you have 100 things that needed to come together right to make a good movie, I would say 5 or 6 things came together, and the other 95, 96 just fucking fell apart or weren't given a shit about or rushed.
The connection is unstable, it says.
Are we no longer live?
Oh, we're live.
Oh, thank God.
I think.
This might just be a 50-minute episode.
Yeah, maybe. We'll put the other half up later.
So in conclusion, Mortal Kombat 2021 sucks ass.
Right. No, I just think that the budget. Did you see you didn't see what the budget was, did you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the budget
Should I take a
with
guess?
with it grossing 80, what did I say, 82 or 83?
Yeah.
What do you think the budget was?
55. Most of it towards marketing.
Literally 55 million.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, I really didn't see it.
Well, that was such a dramatic reaction.
Dude, because, yes,
it's
fucking awesome.
Exactly 55.
Made 30 million.
Yep.
Well, whoop-de-fucking-do.
And that's all they want. That's all they ever want.
They're laughing all the way to the bank while we got a shit movie.
Right.
I'd rather just watch what the fans can, or just keep playing the games, whatever.
Right.
Because now the first Mortal Kombat from '95, which we haven't really talked much about that movie. Did you watch that one too? Or I know you've seen it.
I'm sure,
but
I didn't watch it
in preparation for this episode. I mean, now a lot of that, me liking that movie and watching it as many times as I have, is severely rooted in nostalgia. I mean, based off the merits of it just being like a good movie, like there's not any kind of like quantifiable way I can really fucking put it with, but it's mostly nostalgia and like it's good enough and that I enjoy the fucking people in it enough. Like when I see those actors in a different movie, I'm always like, oh look, it's Liu Kang, or oh look, it's Johnny Cage, like because it just has special significance to me. And it was. But if a kid that was my age when I saw Mortal Kombat in '95, if that kid that was my age then watches this one now, not sure they're going to be really giving a shit. It's just going to blend in with all of the rest.
Right.
Because there's nothing memorable. Nobody says anything memorable. No one does anything memorable. There isn't a memorable sound to it. It doesn't have a score to it. It doesn't have any signature thing about it that makes it special. They tried to make a special new fucking Golden Dragon logo.
Right.
Ooh, whatever.
That's where part of their $10 million went. Or 55 million.
Yeah. It's just whatever. I don't know what else to say about it. It was just a stupid movie. Cole Young was probably the worst part about it. Well, no, there's many worse parts. The editing was horrible.
If you could keep this movie like the same in a certain way, but change certain aspects of it, like not removing characters, but just like overall story, what would be like the number one thing you change to fix it or start to fix it?
To start to fix it, first of all, I would completely remove this Cole Young character.
I said not removing characters.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I would still remove Cole Young. And then I'd remove him again just to be sure he's out of there.
Okay. Because that's how that works.
I'd have him launch to Mars just to be sure he wasn't going to be.
Elon, I've got the first.
Okay. So without removing anybody.
Yeah, don't remove anybody, but just like adjusting the story. How do you start to fix it?
Start to fix it by not having so much bullshit explained. Mm-hmm. Have people introduced in more memorable ways by showing and doing things like based on their actions and how they carry themselves, decisions they make, how those decisions affect other people, tension that's created between characters for believable reasons. Mm-hmm. Set better stakes, help us get an idea of what those stakes are, and give us something in the movie to make us care, and then have all the fight scenes.
Did he have a daughter in this movie?
Don't even remember. I don't know. But
I'm actually trying to think now of like this movie, and I think it's starting to blur with other movies, which means it's completely forgettable.
Yeah, because it's just oh, he has a daughter or he doesn't have it. Yeah, we should be able to remember that, but we don't. And so then have these important things that hang in the balance, determined by the fights.
Right.
Hang all of these ornaments on the fights and have people, if they showed up unprepared, they get their ass kicked.
Right. That's pretty much it.
And yeah, you have the fatalities and the blood and the violence, like, because that's like what put us under the spell of Mortal Kombat to begin with, like the mystical fucking characters beating the shit out of each other with their mystical fucking moves and magic.
And I think that's part of the brilliance about the original, like the whole story of like Mortal Kombat. It gives you these like crazy characters that are unrealistic by
each
all
with a
knowledge,
really interesting backstory,
but it grounds everything into, hey, you have to fight to survive, which literally every human connects with. And then there you have a basic connection.
Yeah.
This movie threw that out the window.
At
was
least,
like, if you got a good tattoo, you might be special.
It didn't have anybody to connect to, and that's like a big point. Like, we're supposed to connect to this Cole Young guy. He doesn't even feel like the main guy. Who's the main character of this movie? It doesn't have a main character. If it's supposed to be Cole Young, this is the first movie I can think of with a main character that says nothing and does nothing, just has shit explained to him. He's just an earpiece for the audience. If he wasn't there, we wouldn't be able to know what's going on because we wouldn't have people explaining everything.
Right.
And at least in the original one, we had people to connect to. Like I was saying earlier, connect to Liu Kang and Sonya and Johnny Cage for 3 different reasons. Like, maybe we have one of these attributes, but whatever. It doesn't even matter if you fucking connect with it. Doesn't matter. Like, or connect to those specific attributes or can identify or relate to it. At least it's like some fucking like little boat for you to ride on your ride down the river of the movie. Like this, you're just like fucking getting washed downstream, like flipped upside down. You don't know which way is up.
Right.
And you don't care about anything. Nothing makes any sense. And let's just fill the movie with nothing but explanation. That'll take 15 minutes. The next 15 minutes, messy fight scene, followed by 15 minutes of explanation, followed by 15 minutes of boring fight scene.
Right.
And they hung maybe a couple cool ideas or a couple moves or a couple fan servicey things like, oh, that's from the game, or oh, I remember this noise or that bippity or boppity.
That noise.
Whatever fucking little nod or Easter egg.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's not fucking good enough.
Yeah.
Because like Shang Tsung, when he came on screen, I don't fucking even remember anything except him just standing there with 2 people on either side of him just going blibbity flibbity blibbity blue blobbity blibbity blah. Go do evil shit, person on my left while person on my right stays here and protects me until I order you to go do boring task number 3. Yes, good day and goodbye. See you in the next scene where I just stand around and talk. And like when a bad guy, how is Darth Vader introduced in Star Wars? He doesn't just walk on screen.
It's literally the first like minute of the film, and he just kills or has his soldiers kill everyone.
Yeah. So that, or the way the Emperor is introduced, or any fucking baddie from any like iconic or pop culture movie, like they do something to illustrate what their place is in this world. They exemplify their power or their whatever over people, and they demonstrate that by doing something.
And how does what's his face do that in this movie? He shows up at the secret desert lair and wants to fight. Only after he like wounds somebody, I think, before that, but nobody dies. Everybody's going to be, oh yeah, that's because that's where Jack starts to get his metal arms. They're like, oh man, you really took a beating, but guess what? Now we're going to make you the character everybody knows. Okay, don't worry about Jackson. It's fine. And that's it.
Couldn't we have made Sonya and Jax give a shit about each other just a little bit?
Sure.
Found a way to do that somehow.
Sure.
Instead, he's just some guy who just bumps into the wrong guy in the wrong place on the wrong night and gets his arms shattered, which in the trailer, that was cool. I was like, wow.
Right.
That looks sick. And the thing with the bullets firing and freezing and Sub-Zero just staring.
That was
cool
awesome.
stuff. Yeah. Great.
See, that's the that's the cherry on top.
That's
stuff.
all. They have. It's like they have these little fucking cherries, these little fucking ornaments that they just like, oh, they'll like this. Doink, let's put this on this turd tree. Doink, doink. It's like we can't see the turd right now. We just see the shiny. But then you get in there and then they just unload the shit onto you.
Right.
And you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, because that's once again, it was like, all right, everybody, let's give me your coolest kill or your coolest moment in a game. And everybody's like, oh man, what if the blood like freezes it and he can stab people with the blood? Then someone else is like, ooh, bullets like frozen in time, with ice, and it's like, and they're like, okay, mark those down. We're gonna put those in the movie, and then just connect those dots. Everything will be fine. And that's literally what the movie felt like. It was like, as long as we get to that next box, it's all we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll with it, and that was that.
Yeah,
and it sucks because for it.
Yeah,
but it's whatever.
Yeah, and the way like Liu Kang shows up, like that was an awesome shot with him walking in front of the sun. But weren't they just walking through the desert, and all of a sudden here comes Liu Kang, just like, oh, there he is, and he's just like, I am Liu Kang, I am a dude. I am joining you on your adventure now.
Savior.
Let's go, team.
Maybe it is like a Spider-Man Star Wars mix-up because Obi-Wan Kenobi was in the desert for Luke. Look into that.
I don't know. Like, if you want good storytelling that's martial arts related, go to Cobra Kai.
I still haven't watched any of that.
Oh, well, I don't know if it'd be your cup of tea. I think you would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun for the whole fucking family. I mean, your kids would. It's great for kids and adults, like Mario, Either one you are, there's great stuff in it for everybody.
Right.
Like, you don't strike me as an avid like Karate Kid watcher.
No.
And I've seen.
What are you trying to say?
I've seen it like a bunch of times, sure, about as much as I've seen like Rocky, I guess, or any other like underdog fucking fighting sports story, whatever.
Fucking.
But there was always this interesting thing circulating around Daniel, the kid that gets his ass kicked,
right,
and the kid kicking his ass, quote, the bully,
right.
And there was a really interesting YouTube video that came out that said, wait a minute, Daniel, the kid getting bullied, was actually the asshole, and the other kid, although flawed, was the actual hero of the story, and he really is the Karate Kid.
Right.
And so then it was like this whole different like perspective on the movie, and it was one of those times where when you really do watch it with a new glasses on, it legitimately like changes everything, because you're like, wait a minute, this fucking kid is the bully. Like, he is wrong. He starts everything. He instigates everything. The other guy's just kicking his ass as a result of Daniel starting it. Like, he kicks his ass like to the extreme point, but like the other guy drew first blood.
Right.
Like, so it's just him like showing him like, hey, motherfucker, like, you fuck with me again and I'm going to put you down permanently.
Right.
And like, I'm getting you just like within an inch of that. So yeah, he like takes it really far, but still when you watch it with this new lens on, it's like completely changes it is. It's a really cool feeling to like see it differently and realize it that way.
Right.
And like that's, and then with the Cobra Kai thing, that's what the whole thing is based off of. A fucking YouTube video, like showing the flaws of the kid that's supposed to be the hero, and then like the merits of the one that was supposed to be the villain. So it like does away with the good guy, bad guy tropes, and it introduces like real life applicable stuff that happens to us all every day in the like grit and grime of going through life, and it's relatable. And so when you watch it happen to both of them and how they react to it, sometimes you'll say like, oh, the way he's reacting to that isn't right, or he should be more like Johnny, or when Johnny is, oh, he's reacting this way, he should be more like Daniel. And it keeps doing that, and you can see that they're very much like similar characters and have like a lot in common and have a lot to learn from each other. But and being an audience member, like, we can see that like from an outsider's perspective, like, oh, if you would just do this, or oh, if you would just listen to that. And it's like you feel for them and you want the best for like both of them. Well, mainly more Johnny, he's just cooler. But and then then the whole like dynamic of training, like the new up and coming like youth, and like then like this fucking like war between like the two different factions start up, and it's like the fight for the heart of the valley, and like the two different, even though it's like ridiculous, it's like the two different karate schools like basically like lay claim to the school and the town, and like get in all these fucking like fights.
They gotta fight it out,
and they have two different masters that are telling them two different, like, this is like the heart of karate, and the other one's like, fuck that, that's stupid, this is what it's all about. So you have like the nerdy kids and the kids that get picked on like signing up for the more like aggressive, don't take any shit martial art, and then the other ones go about it, or the ones that like are too aggressive or too emotional or angry, like, oh no, you need like the martial art of balance and peace and finding yourself, and the other one just makes fun of that. It's like, that's just stupid crap, like all that wax on wax off shit, like fuck, that shit doesn't work, like that's stupid. And it's both like hilarious and like ironic and just good. I don't, it's just like these illustrations and counterpoints of stuff that like was a running theme in the first movie, is like, well, here's like the opposite end of that, for this show. We're exploring this a different way, and it very much it does get compared to Star Wars a lot. Certain characters you'll be like, he's like the Emperor, and other ones are like, and then this guy is like the Vader. This one's like Han Solo and Luke, and it's fucking true. It like follows that formula, but it does it in such a way, and with this it's just like a different take on that sort of structure, like character structure, or like power hierarchy, or like war between two opposing views, the dark side and what do they call it, the light side, whatever, in Star Wars.
It's not hard. What do you call the good side?
They say dark side all the time, but no one ever says light side. But anyway, so if you're looking for like a well-structured, just well-invested, like just basically a good show, in general, I would say Cobra Kai, because I give a shit about what's going on, and I'm like, every fucking scene keeps me wanting more, and like, finish an episode, I want to see the next one immediately. I want to know like what's going to happen. I'm always interested in what's happening next. This Mortal Kombat movie, just kill me. Give me a phone, give me a cigarette,
funny
anything.
You compared the Cobra Kai to Star Wars, because there's this whole ideology like inside of the Star Wars universe, and obviously outside, that like you look at like the Jedis and the Sith, and of course you know who the baddies are, but like you explained with the Cobra Kai, there is this like thing that, you know, inside the, like I said, inside the universe, where people think that the Sith really aren't bad, and it was the Jedi that instigated everything, because once the Jedi came to power, they were the ones that were like, oh, this is what we need to do now. And of course that became like taking, or, you know, like helping planets, you know, become part of the system, and, you know, you have protection type of stuff. And it was always like in the name of like good, but they were the ones always, you know, that whole ideology type of thing.
Isn't it so much more fascinating when they blur the line between good and evil, and make you literally ask moral questions about what would I do in this situation? I legitimately don't know, because I can like really piss off this one camp over here, or really disappoint this person I promised over here.
That's why,
and you literally don't know what you would do.
That's why I love the amount. You know, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I love the amount of Star Wars content there is just everywhere. Because that's why I think like Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker is like one of the most realist type of villains like you can have, because like you were introduced to him obviously in episode 4, which he's already Darth Vader. You don't really know anything. You just, you know, throughout the original trilogy, you just kind of find out that he was Luke and Leia's father, and he was awesome. You know, he was a Jedi once, and blah, blah, blah. But like the backstory to him, like being taken from his mother, you know, trained in the Jedi way, but then fighting like his human nature the whole way to the point where he accepts the dark side and then can do whatever he wants at that point is such like, to me, such like a grounded, like you connect with everything there. It's like, you know, oh my gosh, I want to be a, you know, you could sit there, watch the movie. You're like, oh, I want to be a Jedi too. But Jedi aren't allowed to have relationships. So when he meets Padme, he's, you know, he's like how many years younger than her, but already is like enamored by her. So how do you shut those feelings off? And then, you know, blah, blah, you know, the whole story. But like in the Clone Wars, the comic, or not comic, cartoon, it's really cool. I wish they would do like a real brief, like live action movie with that.
Yeah.
Just mostly because more people would watch it that way. But it's awesome and amazing to watch, like from the beginning to the end of that series, the transition he takes, you know, and his like his ideas and like thought processes through the beginnings of like, yes, I am a Jedi, I bend the rules, but that's okay. And then at the end, it's like, I am the dark side now. And you know, the process of him getting a Padawan, which is Ahsoka Tano, and then like watching her watch him go through that. And then she basically turns out how she does because she watched her Jedi master flip sides and bend the rules too much. And she started to understand that there is no dark side. Like you cannot have the dark side without the light side and vice versa. There is a balance between them because there are choices you have to make that border dark and light. And that is the balance of the Force because you cannot have one or the other.
Right.
You know, just by themselves. And that's why like Ahsoka went from yellow blades to white blades. And meaning that she does not pick a side. She's just kind of like a rogue Jedi of sorts.
Yeah.
But
it's cool not to be trendy.
Yeah. But I think that like whole process of like, you know, when you can see that, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And that's, maybe I'll check out Cobra Kai.
Yeah. I would at least give it, because here, this will turn you on to the idea. The episodes are only 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I could.
Or 25.
How many seasons are there?
It's going on its 4th this year.
That'll take me 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you can blow through it in 2 days.
Right.
Like now, as it goes on, the episodes went from like 20 to 30. And then once they get to the last episode, I think it's like 45 minutes, might even be an hour. Like
so it's like a double or triple episode.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But the build up to that final episode, like you can just see all the weaves of everything just like culminating to like the one final season. And what makes it extra sweet for someone like me is that every time they do a season, they bring in new characters from the movies. So there was Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. And there was even a 4th one that they did with Hilary Swank when they tried to like revitalize it, like the next Karate Kid.
Right.
But
the last attempt.
Yeah, which didn't work. But as Cobra Kai goes on, like they'll bring in people like the main baddie and some of the side characters from like Karate Kid 2.
Right.
And then going into the next season, they start to allude to people coming in from the 3rd movie. And what's cool about each of the Karate Kid movies is the people in them were memorable.
Right.
Like the villains and the side characters. They were actually like really cool characters that you could see like, wow, they'd be really interesting like to see more of or whatever. But you know that they're just like the fill-in for part 2. And then that's the end of them because that's just the way we were doing it in the 80s or whatever. There wasn't going to be some fucking Cobra Kai show with new seasons every week. That just stuff was unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
But now they're like bringing them back from the movies and it's so fucking cool the way that all works out.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like, what the hell else is doing that where there was like a trilogy of movies that were special to you when you were a kid, and now there's a show that's literally pulling from the lore of the movies
Star Wars
to create the show.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay, that doesn't count.
Other than
fucking Star Wars.
No, there really aren't many. If
Yeah.
if we probably dug pretty deep, we could probably name like 5 other than Cobra Kai, but it's not like
Yeah. And the Karate Kid like wasn't like generally speaking, I guess from like a cultural standpoint is like the Karate Kid was not impactful as Star Wars was.
yeah.
Like, and I thought of it as such as like I like these 3 movies. They're cool. I'll watch them sometimes.
Right.
And I did. I watched them several times, but now they've been like elevated to this different status given like how good this show was and how it was so expected to be a joke. Like it fucking debuted on YouTube Red.
Right.
And then Netflix picked it up because they're like, oh, what shit, this is actually
real.
Yeah, it's gotten real. This is actually like these guys are good.
Right.
And it's written by 3 people, written and directed by 3 people that are like mega Karate Kid fans, and Jesus Christ does it show.
Right.
They do the nods, they do the fan service, they do all of that, but they find a way to make it like actually like applicable to the storyline.
Right.
Which then lends itself to just like telling an overall entertaining story, whatever.
Yeah, because they're doing it correctly.
Yeah, they're
not just trying too hard. They're staying in their lane to a certain extent, which is good. But they also, they know where to push or where they can push.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not just, they're not bringing a whole new teacher in saying, oh,
yeah,
the old guy's dead. He died because his tattoo wasn't good enough.
Jesus. Yeah, yeah.
Anything like that.
Yeah. I can't take away a character out of the movie, but can I take away a tattoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
If I can't get rid of Cole Young, then get rid of his fucking tattoo. Maybe then I could have liked Cole Young.
If he didn't have the tattoo?
If that wasn't the wasn't the fucking red herring or MacGuffin that they used to get him to be special, to get him into the tournament.
Tattooed viewers and listeners.
No, you had to be born with it to be special. You had to be born with your birth defecty tattoo on your butthole.
Oh my god!
And then you can be in a tournament, and you're even like destined to win the tournament because of this tattoo. You're that special.
You're so special.
So special. Well, Cole Young, you're amazing.
I don't think we should continue talking about Mortal Kombat just because I think.
But I did have one question.
Idea. Go ahead.
It might delve us into another topic for 5 minutes, but fine. What do you think of Mass Effect so far?
Oh, so far it's pretty good.
Did you stop playing already?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I finally left the Citadel because there's a whole bunch of those side missions you can do by just walking around talking to people.
Oh yeah. Can you help me find my uncle?
So I just literally walked. I literally walked everywhere, like multiple times, just searching for like people, and then did as much as I could do in the Citadel before I actually left. So, I'm still kind of getting used to it because it's a little
kind of clunky.
Yeah.
Getting used to the mechanics.
Obviously, it's like the 360, so nothing is like super fine tuned.
Yeah.
So like, I enjoy the story so far. It's kind of, it's not like a groundbreaking story that I've never heard about. Like
it'll get there.
Someone betraying something.
It's a lot to take in for sure.
Yeah,
there's so much fucking lore there.
So far, it's good. I was actually pretty surprised for like a 360 game how like vast it is so far, even that I just left the Citadel.
So you did Eden Prime, then you were at the Citadel.
Yep.
And then you left the Citadel.
Yep.
Did you go anywhere else yet?
And then I went to, I don't remember what the world's called.
Was it just a random world?
No, it was one of my like side missions.
Oh.
I got to go find where like some guy's brother like went to. So you go to a star system and look for a ship. You find a ship and it's like all jacked up. So you have to go to the world that's like right next to a ship. And you end up like basically shooting your way into this little base on this snow planet, and you go in and after you kill everybody in the base, you find like his brother's body in the corner. Then you just go back to the Citadel, and you're like, he's dead.
Yeah.
And the one thing I find ridiculously funny about this game so far is you basically have 3 options for the majority of like talking points.
Yeah.
So when I first started playing it, the one thing that I don't like about it is like, if someone's like, hey, Shepard, where are you going? The options are just like, oh, nowhere. What's that? And shut the fuck up, it's none of your bit. And like you click on these, and like the attitude is like violently like yeah, it kind of stays in its lane. But there was one where I was like, because at first I was just like, oh, okay, that's what it's gonna say, is these like little like short things.
Oh, okay.
And one of them was just like none of your business, and I was like, okay, let's try what this is. And Shepard's like, why the fuck, he's like, why the fuck should I tell you? And I was like, oh my God, like, I didn't want to say that. I'm sorry. And of course the character's like, oh, I didn't mean to, step on your toes or whatever he said.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's pretty much just telling you like top thing,
right.
Nice guy, middle thing,
right.
Impartial, bottom
right.
thing, fucking asshole.
Right.
Which I love.
Yeah. So I try to stay as true to like what I would do. I'm like this with all games. I try to stay as true to like what I would say in real life.
Yeah.
So it's like, my immediate gut reaction is like normally what I pick, which is usually impartial. But there have been like a few times where I've clicked like the angry one just to see how it went.
Yeah. I just pick that so much because it's so funny. Like
right.
Some of the things he says, like,
it's so abrasive.
The insults are just so funny.
Right.
Like there's this one where this woman's like going to commit suicide by shooting herself in the head, like at the loading dock or something.
Yeah.
And I think I told you about it before, but you can either like talk her out of it,
right,
like a decent person, or you can just tell her like, stop wasting my time and do it already. Would you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then she does it, and then you're just like walk out to the security guy like, Jesus, what happened? Is like, I'm not cleaning that up. This is a waste of my time. Like throw that like off my ship or something.
That's
like,
great.
There's one in particular where you go to a planet, and I won't spoil anything, but there's someone in your crew that has a real fucking problem with you.
Is it the
Krogan? Maybe you haven't met the Krogan yet. Rex? No, you wouldn't have met him yet.
Yeah, I'm friends with him.
Oh, you already met him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's part of my crew.
Okay. Well, he has like a real fucking issue with you later in the story.
Oh, come on.
Over something.
I use him all the time in my group.
Well, then you better handle him right, or else you're going to have to put him down for good, or he's just going to defect from you.
Right.
Or you'll say the right thing and he'll stick with you and you'll solve his problem for him, or at least like get him to see like your side
about it. Okay.
Yeah. But like if it doesn't work out and you have to take him out, like there's then like options to like, well, he was part of our crew. How should we what should we do with the body? And
right.
if you could be like, well, you're right, he still deserves a proper burial. Or if you go like renegade option, just be like, he betrayed me, just leave him here to rot.
Right, of course. Yeah, it's so abrasive. Everything. That's why it's just so funny because like, yeah, they're different. Like they're 3 different options for definite different emotions, but like there should be like a bridge between them somewhere, and it's just like happy, and you should shut the fuck up. Yeah. It's like, oh my God.
Have you ran into the jellyfish giving sermons at the Citadel?
Oh yeah, I gave him credits to buy a thing.
Oh my God, it's so funny being mean to him. Or did you talk to the security guard that was complaining?
Yeah.
Did you renegade that one where he's like, he's like, what? Why can't it just listen to authority and just respect our laws around here? And you can be like, because he's a big stupid jellyfish.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I didn't.
Like the best line ever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so far, what I was gonna say is, it surprises me how big the game feels. I know it's not like gigantic, but like just the fact that you can go to different galaxies or whatever feels like gigantic. Excuse me, no COVID. Feels gigantic for like the 360. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because when I first got on the ship and like figured out how I gotta use this map thing. The first thing it reminded me of was like No Man's Sky. Now, No Man's Sky is gigantic compared to Mass Effect, but like it had okay, like I can. This is a lot. This is crazy for a 360.
The different worlds and stuff.
So in that sense, it's pretty amazing to me. But I'm liking it so far. So far, the story. See, I'm a little tough to please with like storylines sometimes because like if the game doesn't have like a good storyline, I'm probably like I'll play it once for as long as I can stay up, and then that's kind of it, just to see what it's like, or to, is there any redeeming factors? But this I've played for a while so far. I think I'm put like 4 hours into it, which is a lot for me because I usually don't play a ton of games.
Yeah, now we're in adult land.
Yeah. I don't play a ton of games, so when I do, it's like this has got to be worth my time.
Yeah.
Because normally it's just like a fallback like Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk Remastered. So it's like Tony Hawk
2-minute skate run.
Yeah. F1 racing or something. Oh, I downloaded Microsoft Flight Simulator because it's free on Xbox if you have like Game Pass or whatever it is. So I downloaded that, and the other day I was flying around and I literally took off from Baltimore and found the house. It was like there was actually no house here, but like the school was over there. The old like schoolhouse, the rundown building, like if you would go straight across the street, is there.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So that's pretty cool.
How did they make that?
I'm assuming they use some type of GPS imaging.
So it's like GTA, but for the whole world.
But kind of in real life, yeah, kind of.
Can you run people over?
No, it's an airplane.
Can you crash it into people?
Yes, but there's no explosions that I've seen yet.
Well, they should have programmed that in. You should be able to do whatever you want.
Well, it's not GTA. That's what GTA is for.
It's impossible to play GTA without being crazy.
Someone.
Yes, trying to get 5 stars, then escaping.
That's your outlet. That's your outlet. You have to murder someone. I know that's probably not good to say, but
in video game land, you can murder everybody.
Murder everyone.
That's what us human beings do. We get our murder jollies off in video games.
What was that?
What?
Murder jollies?
Murder jollies. I don't think I've ever said that before.
Alchemy Point Podcast first T-shirt. Murder jollies.
You made a word. I'm making a catchphrase.
Murder jollies.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so we're an hour and a half in. That's about the mark. We've done most of the other ones. So yeah, that's the show, folks.
If you don't have anything else to say, I don't have anything.
That's coming back in off of 2 months of not doing it at all. The last thing we did was Justice League, right?
Justice
League and Justice League, yeah. So okay.
So yeah.
Well, maybe next time we review something or just shoot the shit, shoot the breeze.
Yeah. We'll try to structure this. Maybe we'll do every other one or something, a review and then a chat and then a review and then a chat or whatever.
Okay,
But
bye.
But like always, subscribe everywhere, and we'll try to keep up to date. Matt's taking everything off. He's done.
Show's over.
It's over.
You're in shit. It ain't going to eat.
That's right.
No, what's this? I have it half on this. Oh,
You're out your gas. You're out today.
Hey, you had one. Get me better. Show me everything.